welcome back to the Mookie Chosen channel, and this is a Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame update. I have acquired what is effectively the capstone to one of the great sections of the Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame, in my opinion. One of the areas that I love to stand and look at all the time, and that's because it's my Mets section. And of course, any Mets section of a Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame has to be held up by two pillars: Tom Seaver and Gil Hodges. And so I just want to take a quick tour through that exhibit in that area of the Wall of Fame before we get to the pickup. I promise it will be quick, and I hope it will be painless, but let's begin. And this is the first Tom Seaver card we're going to look at. This is 1968, his rookie trophy card. Find the pinhole. Ready? Go. It's in the rookie cup. I think it was maybe artfully disguised and hidden by the youngster who pulled this card. And by the way, the youngster who pulled this card very well may have been from Canada, because this card is an OPG card. This is, you can tell by the monochrome background and the printed in Canada font at the bottom, as opposed to the yellow background in the 68 tops. So this is a pretty cool card and one of my favorite ones of Tom. Speaking of yellow, here he is in the transogram. Alert Sammy Thunder. You got two pinholes in the top, and of course a telltale sign of a pinhole card is if you're fastening the thing to the wall at the top by these pins and you're pulling it off the wall, you're going to create creasing like you see here. So that is very famous. I don't know how to explain the crayon, but some things will not be explained. Speaking of not being explained, why did Topps use all these same images? And so the 69 card, there he is. And at the tippy top of Tom's cap, you have two punctures and the blue there. And you can see, again, the telltale signs of thumbtacks. You see the coronal impressions of thumbtacks around the center of the hole. So this card came up and went down a couple times and got pushed back in by a kid who was maybe celebrating the 69 Miracle World Series champion Mets, just like this kid did in 1970. Again, the imagination with the image is not there, but that didn't matter to this kid who put it up on his wall with the pinhole, just like this card, the World Champions card with the pinhole in the A. Beautiful card. Tom and Gil are both in that image. This card in 1972 is, of course, my theory here is that the kid who owned this card came from money, because he used two pins to put this up on his wall, which, again, you don't have limitless pinhole money. But I love this card because it's got the symmetry of the two stars of that 72 design on either side, matched with the two pin holes there for Tom. Terrific. This one, of course, the 72 in action, and this one has a puncture right through the blouse, right through Tom's shirt. And Tom's in action, I think, is of him like wishing a ball foul, maybe a bunt or something like that. It's not the most flattering image, not the most flattering pinhole location, but that's okay. And then finally in 75, we've got another coronal impression of a thumbtack up there at the top in the 75 design. Of course, this design, that they decided to jam the facsimile signature up on the top right to avoid the spider web of the batting cage and the Mets pinstripes there, which I guess was a good design hack there by Topps, but it didn't matter to this pinhole lover of Tom Seaver. And so Tom Seaver, like I said, was one of the great pillars of that 69 World Series Met team. And again, the other great pillar was the manager who had spent his career as a Brooklyn Dodger and began there in I think he was 1947 or 48. Anyway, he started out as a catcher and moved because Roy Campanella was better than him. So he moved to first base and became a beloved hero in the batter's box and in Brooklyn at large. And here is Gil Hodges with pinholes above his cap And in his chin, in his rookie card, this is one of my favorite Pinhole cards of all time, because people in Brooklyn loved Gil Hodges. And they loved his attitude, his abilities, his charming good looks. The girls in Brooklyn apparently loved his blue eyes, which you can see in some of these cards. 54 was a great year for Gil Hodges. So great that this card got put up on the wall of some youngster dangled like this from a Pinhole. And so that's one of a great 54 Topps Pinhole card of Gil Hodges. There he is in his Mets uniform in 1963 Topps. After losing 120 games, there he is commiserating with his old pal Duke Snider, the friendly foes behind the batting cage at the Polo Grounds. What Duke didn't know is that he was going to get his own ticket to back to New York, traded from the Dodgers to the Mets, so they would lose together the next year, which I don't think either of them really enjoyed, but being back in New York was something special. And it was special enough to where the Mets had to retrieve him from his job as the manager of the Washington Senators in 1968, trading Bill Dennehy, the man who was a prospect with Tom Seaver on that 67 Topps card. Bill Dennehy was traded for Gil Hodges, the first player ever traded for a manager. And there is Gil and his blue eyes staring at you in that 1968 Topps card. And I don't think he even knew what was in front of him in the championship run that was ahead of them. And the Mets made their run and they won the World Series. And here he is in this 1971 Topps card, a great design, 2 pinholes, one above the Mets, one below. Gil was beloved. You see a lot of Gil Hodges Pinhole cards for some reason. And there you can really see his blue eyes there for some reason. This beautiful card there at Shea Stadium. And this would be, so this was 1971. This was the last card that came out that was issued ahead of Easter Sunday in 1972. This is the front page of the New York Times on the day after Easter, on Monday, April 3rd. There you have the Pope holding his lambs there at the Vatican. And on Easter Sunday in 1972, Gil Hodges and his Mets coaches went out to play golf in Florida. And Gil Hodges died of a massive heart attack at the age of 47, crushing so many Mets fans and baseball fans in Queens and Brooklyn, New York at large, across the country. And they loved their boy with the baby blue eyes. And in fact, in his obituary in the New York Times, it's funny to read now. I'm going to read you a little bit here. Hodges was a strong, silent man who was generally silent about his adventures as a jungle fighter. He had been a Marine in World War II in the Pacific. But once he returned to baseball, his reputation grew as the strong, silent man with pale blue eyes who could hit balls with remarkable right-handed power. That was one of the lines in his obituary in 1972. And one of the cards that has always made me feel so connected to Gil Hodges and so favorable for Gil Hodges is this one. And this is the card that I got. This is the 1955 Bowman Gil Hodges. Of course, this was the year that the Dodgers would win the World Series and beat those Yankees finally. And this is the card that Gil Hodges' blue eyes just burst off of the card. They're just like basically the same color as the hat. They're brighter than the blue sky behind him. It's just magical to me, this card. And I've been looking at this card in sort of, in graded fashion, in graded form. And then this one popped up with the pinhole there above Gil's hat. And this is one of those cards that, again, you get some creasing because if the pin is in here and the kid is pulling the card off the wall here, you're going to get some creases. And so it almost looks like lightning coming out of that pinhole, the creasing looks. But I love this set. I love the TV age that brought Gil Hodges into the living rooms of all those fans all those years ago. And this card just makes me just love baseball. It makes me think about what it must have been like to watch Gil Hodges play, and what it must have been like to have him come home, and what it must have been like to be alive when he passed away, and what all those kids who put all those cards up on all those walls must have felt. And so here we are with your boy with the big blue eyes, Gil Hodges. And that is the latest addition to the Pinhole Holey Grail Wall of Fame. That was a really long setup for sort of, not a gangbusters card, but it is to me. I love it. And it will go up on the wall tonight. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Thank you.